Okay, so for you, who's always trying to, cut through all that digital noise and actually focus, this deep dive is going to be, I think, really relevant. That feeling, constantly being pulled away, your day just a blur of pings and dings. It's something we all wrestle with, right? You're trying to dig into something important, really concentrate, and then bam, a notification pops up. Or maybe it's not even external, it's just that little internal itch to check something, scroll a bit, find any excuse, really, to avoid the main task. And then you wonder, where did the day go? How do you get back control in a world that's just, well, packed with distracting tech? How do you reclaim your focus and maybe even your life? So our mission today on the Deep Dive is to really get into the insights from Nir Eyal's book, Indistractable, How to Control Your Attention and Choose Your Life. And this isn't about like blaming technology or saying phones are evil. No, it's about empowering you to manage it, to be the one holding the reins of your attention.
Exactly. And what's really powerful, I think, is how Iqbal frames the whole thing. It's bigger than just tech habits. It's about deciding who you want to be. He basically says the future boils down to two types of people: those who just let their attention get controlled by everything around them, and those who can proudly say, I'm indistractable. And a key idea he hits on right away is this: the antidote to impulsiveness is forethought. Planning ahead is everything. It's how you make sure you actually do what you intend to do.
That's such a strong way to put it. And that's exactly what we're diving into. We're going to break down this research-backed four-part model Eyal lays out. It's designed to put you back in the driver's seat, using real examples, some surprising facts. So, yeah, let's get into it. Eyal's own story really kicks things off. It's quite relatable, maybe even a bit painful. He was playing with his daughter, right? Building a paper airplane. And she asks him, what superpower he'd want. And he just kind of goes, just a second, I need to answer this. Yeah. While looking at his phone. He completely missed what he later called a magical moment. Whew. That hits hard when you think about your own life, doesn't it?
It really does. And that feeling, it's common. An early reader shared a story with Eyal, too. He asked his 8-year-old daughter the same superpower question. And her answer, just heartbreaking. She says she wanted to talk to animals so that I have someone to talk to when you and Mom are too busy working on your computers.
Wow. Oh, man. That's rough. Just makes me want to give that kid a hug. So Eyal, feeling this himself, initially went pretty extreme, right? He tried a full digital detox. Got an old flip phone, print newspaper, even a, ancient word processor with no internet. But here's the kicker. He found he just replaced one distraction with another. He was still getting sidetracked, even without the gadgets he blamed. It kind of flips the script, doesn't it? Suggests the problem isn't just the device, it's something deeper.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that leads to his big, maybe slightly uncomfortable realization. Distraction starts from within. It's not the tech itself, it's how we respond to it.
Yeah.
And he explores what really drives us. It's often not what we think. Take Zoe Chance's story. She's a professor at Yale. She told a TEDx audience about getting this device that, quote, slowly began to ruin my life. And it wasn't drugs, not even a smartphone. It was a pedometer, a Strive pedometer. She called it Satan in your pocket. Got totally obsessed.
Racing constantly.
Making spreadsheets to optimize fake points, climbing the equivalent of the Empire State Building in one night. Just nuts.
Wow. A pedometer. Okay, that's unexpected.
Right. But here's the real insight. Chance later revealed why. She said, my addiction to Strive coincided with one of the most stressful periods of my life. Job market stress, marriage problems. So blaming the smartphone is just as flawed as blaming the pedometer. The core idea, the big takeaway here, is that all motivation is a desire to escape discomfort. We're trying to get away from feeling bad.
Okay, so if that's true, then all our efforts at time management are really just pain management. You're trying to avoid discomfort, consciously or not.
That's the inconvenient truth, as Eyal puts it. And why are we always feeling restless or unsatisfied? He argues we're basically hardwired for dissatisfaction. Thanks, evolution. He points to 4 big psychological reasons why feeling good doesn't last. First, plain old boredom. And get this, a 2014 study found 67% of men and 25% of women would rather give themselves mild electric shocks than just sit and think for 15 minutes.
That's seriously, electric shocks over boredom. That's
Yeah, shows how much we hate being bored. Second is negativity bias. Bad stuff grabs our attention more because, evolutionarily, it could kill us. Good stuff is just nice. Third, rumination. We chew over the bad stuff, replay it in our heads. And fourth, hedonic adaptation. We just get used to good things. Lottery winners, often the everyday joys, lost their luster because the baseline shifted. But hold on, this doesn't mean we're doomed to misery, this dissatisfaction, this discomfort. dominates our brain's default state, but we can use them to motivate us instead of defeat us. It's what drives progress, right? From big revolutions to inventing cool stuff.
Okay, so if distraction starts inside with this discomfort, what can we actually do about these internal triggers? How do we manage them? Eyal offers practical steps. First, reimagine the trigger itself. You can't stop thoughts popping up, but you can control your reaction. He suggests the 10-minute rule. Got an urge to check your phone or grab a snack you don't need? Tell yourself, okay, fine, but not right now. Wait 10 minutes. Often just that pause lets you surf the urge and the feeling just fades. It gives you back control.
It creates that crucial space between impulse and action.
Then there's reimagining the task. And this idea from Ian Bogost is fascinating. He says, fun doesn't always mean enjoyment in the usual sense. It's not about adding a spoonful of sugar like Mary Poppins. It's more about deliberately manipulating a familiar situation in a new way. Like his example of mowing the lawn. He learned to find challenges in it, optimizing the path, beating his time, finding the game within the chore.
Yeah, turning it into a puzzle almost.
Exactly. We can use that same brain wiring that gets us hooked on games or social media to stay engaged with something less obviously fun.
And the third one is reimagining your temperament. Eyal really goes after the whole ego depletion idea, that willpower is like a muscle that gets tired. He points to Carol Dweck's research at Stanford, her findings. Your beliefs about willpower determine if it feels limited or not.
So believing you have weak self-control kind of makes it a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Pretty much. Willpower isn't some finite tank. The advice: talk to yourself like you talk to a friend. Focus on growth, not beating yourself up. Build that sense of capability.
Okay, internal triggers, discomfort.
Yeah.
Got it. So how do we translate that understanding into actually making time for the important stuff, for what Eyal calls traction, instead of just reacting all day?
Right, that's the time game. And the core principle is simple but profound. You can't call something a distraction unless you know what it's distracting you from.
Makes sense. If you haven't decided what you should be doing, anything can pull you away.
Exactly. So planning ahead is the only way to really tell the difference between traction moving towards your goals and distraction. Eyal breaks down our lives into 3 life domains to help with this planning: you, relationships, and work. These domains just give us a framework, a way to think about planning our days so our time actually reflects who we want to be and what we value.
And his main tool for this is time boxing, right? Scheduling specific blocks of time for specific things.
It uses a psychological technique called setting and implementation intention. Basically, deciding what you'll do and when you'll do it makes you much more likely to follow through. He really encourages creating a template for your ideal week, literally blocking out time on a calendar. And this is key. You have to reflect and refine it each week. Treat it like an ongoing experiment.
I can see how just visualizing the week like that would help. So where do you start filling in those boxes?
His advice: control the inputs, not the outcomes. And start with you. Schedule your you time first. Exercise, sleep, meals, even reading. He says you're at the center of the 3 domains. Makes sense, right? If you're depleted, everything else suffers. He talks about his own struggle, waking up at 3 a.m. sometimes and adopting the mantra, the body gets what the body needs. Focus on the time you put in the input because that's what you control, not necessarily the immediate outcome.
Okay, your time first, then relationships.
Yes, schedule important relationships. His point is that the people we love shouldn't just get the scraps of our time, the residual bits left over. He has this fun jar tradition with his daughter, scheduled date nights with his wife, Julie. The people we love most should not be content getting whatever time is left over, he says. He even scheduled household chores with his wife to make sure things were fair, citing studies showing, husbands often don't pull their weight there. It's about being intentional with those connections, too.
Scheduling chores for equality. That's practical.
It is. And think about the broader research, like the Harvard study of adult development. Decades of data showing good relationships keep us happier and healthier, period. William Rollins talks about what makes a good friendship: somebody to talk to, someone to depend on, and someone to enjoy. But friendships need time. Elle worries, this is how friendships die. They starve to death. So he even schedules kibbutz gatherings with his friends, focus discussions, to make sure that connection happens regularly.
Like treating friendships with the same importance as a work meeting.
Pretty much. And that brings us to work. The 3rd domain. It's crucial to sync with stakeholders at work. He points out something many of us probably feel. Many managers have little idea how their colleagues spend their time. This leads to what he calls pseudo-work, busy work, that looks like work but isn't moving the needle on priorities. Plus, working crazy hours, like over 55 hours a week, studies show it actually reduces productivity.
Right, diminishing return.
Exactly. So having a clear time-box schedule helps everyone. It clarifies expectations between employees and employers. He tells the story of April, a sales exec who felt frazzled and slow. Turns out she just needed better productivity tools and a clear schedule. Her boss was actually relieved to know when she was focusing and when she was available.
Okay, so internal triggers managed, time intentionally scheduled. But what about all that stuff outside of us, the nonstop pings and interruptions? That's the environment game, right? Hacking back external triggers.
Those external triggers, notifications, alarms, even people dropping by, they're everywhere, makes them hard to ignore. The key question Eyal wants you to ask is this trigger serving me, or am I serving it? Are you in control, or is the trigger dictating your attention?
And the impact of these, especially at work, can be huge.
Huge, and sometimes devastating. He shares this shocking statistic. 400,000 Americans harmed in hospitals every year when patients are given the wrong medication, often due to interruptions. But think about this solution. Nurse Becky Richards introduced brightly colored vests for nurses administering meds. Just a visual cue, meaning do not disturb. Errors dropped by 47%.
Wow, such a simple fix with massive results.
Exactly. And a later multi-hospital study showed an 88% drop. It's like the sterile cockpit rule in aviation. No unnecessary chat during critical flight phases, and yet 70% of American offices are arranged as open floor plans, which basically invites distraction. Kind of ironic, isn't it?
Totally. So, okay, open offices are tricky. What about the digital environment? Email must be a big one.
Oh, yeah. He calls email the curse of the modern worker. Average pro gets 100 messages a day. That adds up to over 3 hours daily just on email. And that doesn't even count the time it takes to refocus afterwards, about 64 seconds after checking email to reorient themselves. It adds up fast.
Oof. So how do you hack back email?
Starts with the TNT formula. Total time equal number of messages time per message. Simple math. To get less email, you gotta send less email. He suggests things like setting specific office hours for checking and responding, or using features to delay sending messages so you're not creating constant back and forth. For unwanted stuff, hit unsubscribe relentlessly, or use a service like SaneBox as a black hole. And for processing what's left, he says the habitual rechecking is the real killer. His rule, only touch each email twice. First time, decide if it's for today or this week. Second time, deal with it. No constant reopening.
Touch it twice. I like that. What about group chat? Slack, Teams, etc. Can be a nightmare.
Totally. He quotes Jason Fried from Basecamp. Group chat is like being in an all-day meeting with random participants and no agenda. Spot on, right?
Painfully accurate.
So 4 rules for chat. 1, use it like a sauna. Get in, get what you need, get out, don't linger. 2, schedule it. Use do not disturb. Don't be available 24/7. 3, be picky. Smaller groups are better. 4, use it selectively. Not for sensitive stuff. Use shared docs for complex thinking, not chat.
Makes sense. And meetings. Another potential time suck.
Right. Goals should be clear. Gain consensus around a decision. To make meetings more purposeful, require a circulated agenda and a short written brief with a proposed solution beforehand. Makes it harder to just call a meeting on a whim. And brainstorming, do it before the meeting individually, then use the meeting to discuss ideas. During the meeting, be fully present. No devices, except maybe one for presenting. Maybe even have a charging station away from the table.
Okay, lots of workplace hacks. What about the biggest personal culprit said amid the smartphone?
Yes, the smartphone. He has 4 steps. Says you can do it in less than 1 hour. Step 1, remove. Uninstall apps you don't use or that don't serve your values. Be ruthless. Step 2, replace. Shift time-wasting apps like social media or YouTube to your desktop computer, harder to access impulsively. And maybe get a wristwatch. Stop checking your phone just for the time and getting sucked in.
A wristwatch. Retro but smart.
Totally. Step 3, rearrange. Use his essential home screen idea. Only put core tools like maps, calendar, and aspiration apps like meditation or language learning on the main screen. Move the slot machines, social media, news feeds off the home screen, maybe into a folder. Step 4, reclaim. Tweak your notification settings drastically. Only allow sounds for maybe phone calls and texts. Maybe allow the little red badge icons for messaging apps, but turn off banners and sounds for almost everything else. Use do not disturb modes liberally. You can even customize auto replies to say you're indistractable and will respond later. Sets expectations.
Nice. And the computer desktop. Similar idea.
Simpler, actually. Just turn off desktop notifications. Those pop-ups are just as bad. And clear the visual clutter off your screen. Fewer icons, less distraction.
What about reading online articles? That read it later pile that never gets read.
Eil's rule. I never read articles in my web browser. He uses Pocket to save articles, strips out the ads, and reads them later, offline. He also talks about multi-channel multitasking, like listening to saved articles using text-to-speech while exercising. It's related to temptation bundling.
Like Catherine Milkman's study, the gym-only audiobooks.
Exactly. That study found a 51% increase in gym visits. Pairing something you want to do, listen to audiobooks, with something you should do, go to the gym. You can do the same with articles and chores or commutes.
Clever. And those infinite scroll feeds on social media.
Yeah, feeds are designed to keep you engaged. His advice: bypass them. Use direct URLs if you need a specific function, like LinkedIn messages. Or use browser extensions like Newsfeed Eradicator or DFTube that just block the feed entirely.
Okay, so we've covered internal triggers, time, environment. But what if we still struggle? What's the safety net?
That's where the commitment game comes in, preventing distraction with packs. Eyal calls these the last line of defense. You use them after you've done the other 3 steps. Think of Ulysses tying himself to the mast to resist the sirens. It's that kind of pre-commitment.
Like Jonathan Franzen supergluing his Ethernet port. Or writers using only pen and paper.
Exactly those kinds of things. There are 3 main types of packs. First, effort packs. These just make unwanted behaviors more difficult to do, like that K-Safe, the timed cookie jar. It's got tons of 5-star reviews because it physically locks temptation away. Simple but effective. Or apps like Self-Control or Freedom that block distracting websites. Apple's Downtime, Android's Digital Wellbeing. They're all effort packs. Even FocusMate working alongside someone online adds social pressure, an effort to break the pact.
Okay, making it harder. What's the next type?
Price packs. This is where you put money on the line. It leverages our aversion to loss. Remember that smoking cessation study? The group that risked losing $150 of their own money had a 52% success rate. The group that just stood to gain money, only 17%. Losing hurts more than gaining feels good. That's loss aversion.
So you bet against yourself, essentially.
Kind of. Eyal has his burn or burn technique. Tapes a $100 bill to his calendar. Either he burns calories working out or he has to literally burn the cash. He says he's done this for years, gained muscle, and never actually burned money. The threat is enough. He does say, expect to feel nervous about it and be kind to yourself if you slip up.
Burn or burn.
Yeah.
Intense. What's the third pack?
Identity packs. This is about how slight alterations in the way we see ourselves can have a dramatic effect on our future actions. Adopting the identity of being indistractable. Saying it, believing it, reinforcing it. He notes that even teaching others about being indistractable helps the teacher internalize it more, even if they admit they're still working on it. You reinforce it with rituals, repeating a mantra, sticking to your time box schedule. Eyal tells his family he's indistractable, uses it in auto replies, even wears t-shirts. It's about making it part of who you are.
Interesting. Okay, shifting gears a bit. What about the workplace culture itself? Can a whole company be indistractable? That's the culture game, right?
Yeah, and Eyal makes a strong point. Distraction is a sign of dysfunction at the organizational level. Is that always on pressure just the way things are now, or can we do better?
So is tech really the root cause of workplace distraction?
He argues no. He cites a study linking high job strain, lots of demands, little control to depression symptoms. And people often use distractions then to try and regain a sense of control, however fleeting. So technology is not the root cause. The problem goes much deeper. Leslie Perlow's study at BCG found this cycle of responsiveness, where tech just amplifies the underlying pressure to be constantly available. Dysfunctional work culture is the real culprit.
So fixing distraction is really about fixing the culture.
Exactly. It's a test of the company culture. Perlow helped BCG change by implementing things like regular meetings to ensure everyone has time to disconnect, predictable time off. This built what Amy Edmondson calls psychological safety, an environment where people feel safe speaking up, admitting mistakes, asking questions, where your voice matters. Edmondson's steps for this are: 1. Frame the work as a learning problem, not just execution. 2. Acknowledge your own fallibility as a leader. 3. Model curiosity and ask lots of questions. That creates a learning zone.
Can you give an example of a company that does this well?
Adel points to Slack, ironically the maker of a communication tool. Their motto: work hard and go home. Offices apparently clear out by 6:30 p.m. It's considered bad form there to DM colleagues after hours or on weekends. Managers block off focus time. They use their own Do Not Disturb features. Crucially, they foster that psychological safety with open feedback channels like specific Slack channels, hashtag Slack culture, hashtag execabon, hashtag beef tweets. Comments can get very prickly, he says, but management uses emoji like eyes or check marks to show we've read this and action is being taken. That transparency builds huge trust.
Okay, that makes sense. Now let's talk about something that causes huge anxiety for many parents: kids and screens. The parenting game, raising indistractable children. Eyal seems to push back against some common fears, right? Like the whole smartphones destroyed a generation narrative.
He does. He urges parents to avoid convenient excuses. He points out that the link between screen time and depression is mostly seen only with really extreme use over 5 hours a day. Moderate screen time might even increase well-being slightly. He says the negative effect is about a third as bad as missing breakfast or not getting 8 hours sleep. Blaming tech can be an easy out. You don't have to think tech is evil to help your kids manage it effectively.
So if it's not just the tech, what is driving potential overuse in kids?
We need to understand their internal triggers. He brings in self-determination theory by Ryan and Deci. Kids need 3 basic psychological nutrients to thrive: autonomy, feeling in control; competence, feeling capable; and relatedness, feeling connected. When kids aren't getting these needs met offline, they might turn to online worlds to find them. Think about it. Traditional schooling often lacks autonomy. One researcher found U.S. teens face way more restrictions than adults.
So they seek control or mastery online.
Exactly. They seek competence in games, relatedness in social media, especially if they lack opportunities offline. Peter Gray talks about the decline of play, less unstructured outdoor time, more rigid activities. So Eyal argues tech overuse is often a symptom of some emptiness in other areas of life.
Okay, so what can parents do?
Teach them to time box their schedule, just like adults. Without a clear plan, many kids are left to make impulsive decisions, often involving screens. Involve kids in creating their own schedule based on values, time for schoolwork, family, and play. He gives an example of fitting Fortnite time into a planned block. And crucially, schedule unstructured play. He calls it arguably their most important extracurricular activity. Also, things like device-free family meals are huge for connection.
What about managing the devices themselves? External triggers for kids.
Right? Help them with external triggers. And parents need to own their role here. Parents and guardians have enabled this situation by giving kids powerful tech too early or without guidance. He uses a swimming pool analogy. You wouldn't toss a kid in the deep end without lessons. Same with a smartphone. Maybe start with a simpler feature phone or a kid-specific watch like a gizmo watch, a good test for readiness. Can the child understand and use the built-in settings for turning off external triggers themselves? Teach them how. Also, simple rules. Keep screens out of bedrooms overnight. Shut them down an hour before bed. Screens and sleep don't mix. And remember, parents can be distractions too, interrupting kids when they're focused.
Good point. Okay, final area. Relationships between adults. The relationship game, indistractable relationships. We've all seen it, right?
Yeah.
Mid-conversation, your friend just has to check their phone.
Yeah, that social contagion. How do we deal with it? He suggests we need to spread social antibodies among friends. Like Paul Graham's idea of social antibodies, cultural norms that push back against harmful behaviors. Think about smoking rates plummeted from over 42% in 1965 to around 12% now, largely due to changing social norms, not just laws. Can we develop similar antibodies against phubbing, phone plus snubbing? He suggests a gentle question. I see you're on your phone. Is everything okay? It opens the door without being accusatory. We also need to notice other triggers that pull us away from connection, like TVs blaring in restaurants or even letting kids constantly interrupt important adult conversations.
And what about our most intimate relationships? Being an indistractable lover.
This gets personal. Eyal admits he and his wife had a period where they had a love affair with their gadgets, choosing Facebook for foreplay, as he puts it. He even throws out a wild statistic. Almost a third of Americans would rather give up sex for a year than part with their mobile phone. Yikes.
Wow.
Apparently so. For them, the solution involved moving phones out of the bedroom, which caused real stressful anxiety. They even cheated by bringing a laptop back in for a while. Eventually, they applied the whole Indistractable model, the 10-minute rule for urges, even using timer outlets to automatically cut the internet router's power at 10 p.m. An effort-packed. It just shows distractions can take a toll on even our most intimate relationships. We need to be intentional there, too.
What a comprehensive look at this, from internal triggers all the way to relationships and kids. As Eyal says, it's about striving, right? Not instant perfection.
Exactly. He admits distractions still happen, but now I know what to do about them. That's the key, having the tools.
And I love how he circles back to that story about his daughter. Her superpower wasn't flying or invisibility. It was kindness.
It's a beautiful reminder.
It really brings it home that being present, choosing our attention, maybe that's the real superpower we all have access to. It's a form of kindness to ourselves and to others.
Absolutely. It boils down to that four-part model. Master internal triggers, make time for traction, hack back external triggers, and use PACs as a final backstop. And remember, this isn't just about getting more done. It's about living a life that feels more meaningful, more aligned with your values, more connected to the people you care about.
The ability to choose your attention really might be the skill of the century. So maybe the challenge for you listening right now is to pick just one thing, one internal trigger, one relationship habit, one workplace frustration, and try applying just one strategy from this deep dive. Start small. Experiment. See it as a process. Be kind to yourself along the way, because you really do have the power to become indistractable.